Hello, I'm Holly Shields here for Kalkine Media, and welcome to another edition of Executive Corner Expert Talks. In this edition, I'll be narrowing in on the clinical stage cell therapy pioneer, Chimeric Therapeutics. The company's world-class team of experts are working towards bringing the promise of cell therapy to life for more cancer patients. And here to shed some more light on their ventures is none other than Chimeric's Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director, Jennifer Chow. Jennifer, thanks very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Holly.
It's a pleasure to have you back on this show. Now, first and foremost, Jennifer, for the unfamiliar, why do novel cell therapies have the potential to cure cancer?
I think that is probably the million-dollar question, right? And I think what we have seen already is CAR T-cell therapies have actually been able to cure certain types of leukemia. So patients that received CAR T-cell therapies in very early clinical trials over 10 years ago remain cancer-free today, which really has been, looked at by scientists and clinicians, and we really feel now that the cancer is not going to come back, and we can safely tell those patients that they're cured of their cancer, which is incredible. And that really is the mission for Chimeric Therapeutics, is to be able to take those outcomes that we've seen already with leukemia and bring that to more patients.
That's absolutely incredible, and it sounds like you've really done a lot of work so far in that regard. You've had a very busy year. We're in November now, wrapping up, but you've made a lot of headway indeed.
Yes, we absolutely have. We have had an incredibly busy, sort of even 18 months since our IPO. We've grown incredibly quickly. When we IPO'd in January of 21, we just had one asset. We now have 7 assets. We have 3 ongoing clinical trials with additional trials planned for next year. So lots of growth over the course of the last 18 months. And in the last sort of 3 to 6 months, we've really been focused on all the foundational pieces that we need to have in place to really develop our programs and accelerate their clinical development.
Absolutely. It's safe to say that you've made a lot of headway there. And I understand as well that just recently you announced a sponsored research agreement with Case Western Reserve University and Dr. David Wald. Could you maybe shed some more light on this for us?
Yes, I'm excited to tell you more about that, Holly. So we actually made that announcement this morning, is that we have entered into a sponsored research agreement with Case Western and Dr. Wald. And Dr. Wald is the scientist and inventor of our CHM 0201, or what's often known as our Core NK platform. He is an incredible scientist who actually developed and invented the NK platform that's already been in a clinical trial. So we're very excited to have this research agreement in place with him now. It allows us to actually continue to advance our development of our NK cell portfolio.
Wow, that's incredible stuff right there, and you've just announced it too.
Yes, absolutely, this morning.
Amazing, amazing. So just on that Core NK platform you just mentioned, I understand that you've announced a new clinical trial with regards to that. Could you shed some light on that for us, please?
Yes, absolutely. So that platform, the Core NK platform, was actually studied in a phase 1 clinical trial already. And what we saw, importantly, was we saw safety and we saw persistence and expansion of the NK cells, but we also saw notably an activity or an efficacy signal with patients, most particularly with blood cancer patients. And there was one very notable case study of a young woman who had acute myeloid leukemia, a very aggressive blood cancer. She tried other therapies, nothing had worked. She came onto the NK cell trial, the Core NK trial, and she had a complete response. And we now know that her response has been held out for more than 2 years, and she's remained cancer-free for more than 2 years. So what we really wanted to be able to do is we wanted to look at the outcomes that we saw in our first NK trial and think through how could we actually enhance the signal that we're seeing for patients. If 1 out of 3 patients were able to already achieve this type of response, how can we make it so that more patients could? And that's really how we came about having this next trial that you're talking about, Holly. So we were able to identify an agent that we're putting our Core NK platform in combination with. It's an agent called vectisertib, and that agent is really meant to enhance the way that the NK cells are able to work. And so very excited that we've been able to move that rapidly into a clinical trial at Case Western. That trial has FDA approval already, and that trial is actually open and enrolling patients. So we're looking forward to being able to announce, hopefully in the next couple months, that the first patient's been treated on that trial.
Wow, that would be absolutely incredible. And as I understand it, that core NK platform is really the foundation of your new research with Dr. Wald. Is that correct?
It absolutely is, and so that is the foundational platform we're using, and we're obviously going to study it in combination like we just talked about, and then we're also going to look to enhance that platform by building in some next generation technologies into the platform, and then also build off chimeric antigen receptor NK cell therapies as well.
That is terrific to hear. There lots of exciting stuff for you on the horizon. And over the last few months, we have seen some major appointments within your organization. Do you see the team continuing to expand?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we expand very slowly, Holly. You know, I think for us, it's really about fit for purpose and making sure we don't expand too quickly, but bringing on the right people at the right time. And one of the hallmarks and probably really big features of our team, everybody on our team has extensive cell therapy experience. So we recently were able to announce that we brought in a new CMO, or Chief Medical Officer. His name is Jason Litton, and Jason comes to us with an incredible amount of experience both in NK cell development and in CAR T development. So we were incredibly excited to have him joining us, and certainly everybody will have an opportunity to meet Jason, we believe, hopefully shortly.
Well, it sounds like a great addition and highly valued addition as well to your team there. So we do look forward to seeing that further expansion. And speaking of which, over the next 12 months perhaps, what would you say is in the deep clinical pipeline for you? What can we look forward to seeing from your company?
Yeah, that's always the exciting piece, right? Is the clinical, as we finally get everybody out of preclinical into the clinical stage. So as I mentioned, we have 3 ongoing trials. So with the NK cells, we will actually be really looking forward to announcing that first patient in the new trial and then watching the enrollment in that trial continue. And that certainly is something we're looking forward to in the next 12 months. With our other programs, our CAR T cell programs, with our chlorotoxin program, we are actually continuing our dose escalation trial, and we're looking forward to being able to finish that trial and then move on to a dose expansion cohort. And with our CDH17 CAR T cell therapy, that one is making its way to clinic, and we believe and we're really excited to get that one into clinic, and we'll have that one into clinic within the next 12 months too.
That's excellent to hear. Lots of stuff lined up, I think, over the next year that we will see from you. Lots of exciting developments in particular to keep an eye on. But with that said, thanks very much for making time for us today. It's been really great to catch up and touch on those new developments. And as always, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. It's been great chatting.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for your time as well, viewers. If you've just joined us, that was Jennifer Chow, the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of Chimeric Therapeutics. They're doing some incredible work in the space, so do keep an eye out. I'm Holly Shields for Kalkine Media.